acha no tongwane kemdenga kanani nu acha no tongwane Nate, what's up, people? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, people? Can you hear me? What up? How you doing? What up, Gogo? How is everybody? Let me get my earphones. We're in trouble. Okay, let me plug this in. How's everybody doing? My big brother, Rusty, how you doing? Listen, Ashin Deepi, Sydney, what's up? How you doing? Mimi, how are you? Mukudze Deepi, Ashley, Chido Miyati, how you doing out there, brother? Tafuma Mtasa, how you doing? Guguletu, Rodi, Eunice. Yeah. How's everybody doing? Thank you guys for joining me. This is season 8, episode 2. Season 8, episode 2. We are, we're out here. My brother Bainam, how you doing? My brother, I missed your presentation at Haifa. I'm sorry, but you're doing some good work. My sister Linda, how you doing? Russell, hey, listen, we got 84 people watching. There's no time like this. We should just start. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't mind, please share this video with others on your wall if you can. It really helps getting more people to watch. I never take it for granted that so many people tune in these days. Like I always said, when we started, it was 20 of us. We used to just chill, 20 of us. From all over the world, every now and then we'd link up. But, now we've got guys from Dubai watching. Hey, Jessica, how you doing from Dubai? People in South Africa, everybody watching. Thank you for coming. If you can share, please do. All right, so, guys, hey, my brother Kelvin, how you doing, man? Congratulations on the awards. Kelvin stays winning. It's just, I don't think, Kelvin just always wins. Kelvin wins so much, he's annoying. Hey, guys, loud and clear. Thank you very much for joining me. 127 people watching, that's loads. Okay. Guys, in episode 1, I came to the defense of sanity and common sense. People asked me, why weren't you doing tea times? And I said, guys, I don't want to keep doing tea times if I'm forced to be 100% censored every time that I speak. Okay? So I was now becoming a dishonest person every time I spoke to you because I was afraid to offend people. I was afraid to make people hurt. My brother Nasiruddin Bello, how are you? My brother from Nigeria. He's a very bad godfather to my eldest daughter. He was there when my eldest daughter was born 16 years ago. He hasn't even called her to say how's she doing. My brother Naz, I blame you. I'll give you a call. How are you? So I was talking to guys about honesty and how I'm trying to remain honest when I speak to you guys. You see, the reason why people like me, my sister Talita, how are you doing? How are you feeling, my sister? I should come see you one of these days. The reason why I was staying away was because I was becoming a liar. I was becoming polarized. Okay, I was now leaning to one side more than the other. And the reason why a lot of people like you were tuning in to watch people like me is because we're the same. We're like minds. We don't like to be told what to think. We like to be free thinkers. That's a free spirit. Okay, we like to be the people who dissect all situations on both sides. We understand that the world is not made up of white and black alone. It's made up of a wide spectrum of colors, including grays, including yellows and shades of yellow. The world is made up of a lot of things. So that's why after season 7, I shut it down a bit. Then I got blocked off Facebook. And I got blocked off Facebook again because I was now fighting with people, constantly trying to get some common sense. Common sense. And we're always fighting for the same thing, common sense. The sense that binds us all to be common. So all to be together as a people. What makes us one is there's a commonality to the laws that we follow, there's a commonality to the way that we think, what's right and wrong. You know, we all agree it's wrong to kill somebody. We all agree it's wrong to rape somebody. Okay? And there's the nuances in between. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel like we're in deep, deep trouble as a Zimbabwean nation. When people like me that you've entrusted with your time, if 200 of you are listening to me right now, you're entrusting me with your time, and I shouldn't take that for granted. In the same breath, I shouldn't then be used as a propaganda tool. When I have managed to grab your attention, I should not be the guy who then is used as a tool by anybody, be it ZANU-PF or MDC, to just give you guys a skewed perspective. I always hope that the Tea Party could be a place of common sense. We should be brutal here, okay? We should be absolutely fucking brutal. That nobody's beyond scrutiny. Nobody's beyond being questioned. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to go online today and have a look. Have a look and find out what's going on. After my last show, when I said Chamisa was just making a joke, I made a lot of people very happy. Because in my heart, I still believe it's just a joke. Now, what I didn't do is I didn't break down the nuances of the person who made the joke. So upon reflection, I sit there and I watch people close to me. People close to me getting attacked vehemently because they posed a counter alternative. And it seemed like I became the cheerleader of that counter alternative. And that's not the fact. You see, I wanted to be able to tell you guys that I thought it was a joke and I didn't feel like it didn't offend me, and a lot of women around me didn't get offended by that particular joke. I think yesterday I went and I watched AC Lumumba talk, and AC Lumumba made a talk. And it was a message to Nelson Chamisa. And what AC said really sort of struck me like an arrow in the heart, because I'm normally the guy who tells AC, nigga man, you're biased. But yesterday he gave me a really balanced perspective. He said it doesn't matter anymore whether Nelson made a joke or not. He's now standing on the national stage. He's standing on the national stage. And then he stands on the international stage. Yesterday there was pictures of him and Boris Johnson. We all know who Bojo is. Okay? He was standing next to Bojo. My sister Savannah Madamombe, how you doing? Linda, I see you. Todd, I see you guys. Nelson is now standing next to Bojo. He's now standing next to Theresa May. You see, we're now in a space where we almost should not allow ourselves to be blinded by the fact that this young man has now transcended from the level he was to a new level. He's now standing next to international leaders. So now he has a responsibility. Hey, Brenda, I see you, mom. As soon as he made that joke and he saw that so many people were indignant and angry about that joke, despite the fact that Kuda said, Nabasa, as a national, international leader, he should have at least tried to unify the people who said they were offended. You know, I saw those women in Sheraton who were vehemently opposed to the things that President Chamisa said. And they were angry. And I saw in one of the women's eyes that this is not misplaced anger, per se. I don't even think that they are being opportunistic about their anger. You know, I believe they were driving the hammer a bit hard on the nail. And I believe there's other tools in a toolbox that don't necessarily need hammers and axes. You know, there's also sellotape, there's sticky stuff. You know, there's scissors. You don't always have to have a hammer or an axe in a toolbox. When these women came and did their presentation and said, we're very offended with what Nelson Chamisa said, the attacks on those women were now being attributed to people like me because I said it was a joke. My brother Adamski German, for example, actually tagged me and he said, come get your aunties here. So I'm going to use a statement that Mirazi Shon has just made. And he says, but what I'm now trying to tell you, Mirazi Shon, is that for Nelson Chamisa to win the presidency of the country, he has to say to Munuwese Anibasa. Because even if he wins, those ladies are still going to be Zimbabwean citizens who are going to be governed and ruled by him as a president. So he is now in a position where he can no longer say, Vana havana basa. Because that's what Mugabe did to us. We're in a space now where leaders, even a Donald Trump, is the president of everybody. He's just not the president of the people who supported him. Nelson Chamisa, E.D. Mnangagwa, these men are going to have to rule everybody. Kudzai, it was hyperbole expression. Of course, that's what I said. I said it was just hyperbole and talking, it was jest. There was no problem. But I'm saying that there's other people out there who found it offensive. So this brings me to my next point. Hapana muna asnabasa. Everybody is important. When we are now watching the Zimbabwean political landscape, there is now such extreme polarization. Such extreme polarization in the Zimbabwean political landscape. My brother Patson Zamara, how are you? I'm glad Patson has joined the feed. Maybe I can use an exchange I had with Patson and his people yesterday as an example. You know, as a man who has seen both sides of this equation go at each other, beating each other up, stabbing each other, people have killed each other over these politics. After all the politics is said and done, ladies and gentlemen, we shall be in a space where we all have to look each other in the eyes as brothers and sisters. We must now get to a space where we agree that we are going to disagree, but at the end of the day, we're going to have to offer each other tea or have drinks or drop our kids at the same schools. Because this election is going to come and go. These politicians are going to continue being politicians. And there's going to be the rest of us at the bottom here who hated each other, killed each other, spat at each other for the sake of politicians. Sorry, even on my timeline right now, you got people like Lloyd who just refuse to listen to what I'm actually trying to say. They're here to throw their own counterpoints, and we're not disagreeing. And I'm actually trying to stop this negativity, but Lloyd will continue to spew and throw his hyperbole even on my timeline. I mean, I didn't invite him here; he just came. Sad. It's very sad. When I made a comment yesterday on Patson Zamara's. When I made a comment yesterday on Patson Zamara's feed, my father always told me, if you say something, make sure it's out of love, that is true, and that is necessary. It's out of love, it's true, and it's necessary. I went on on Patson's wall yesterday and I typed something. Yes, it was true. Yes, it was out of love. But my mistake yesterday was that I failed on my last one, which was it was not necessary. And that's why I wanted to say sorry to Patson. It wasn't necessary. I could have got him on the privates. I could have spoken to him. But what we did was I spoke publicly, and then I further perpetuated hatred. I automatically now had to deal. There was over 80 comments of people who were cheering me on, saying, yeah, Kuda, get him, get him. And then there was also about another 50% of people saying, Kuda's a hater, Kuda's this, Kuda's this. It became really weird because instead of arguing about the point that I was arguing, my point was very simple. My brother Patson, you're a free thinker. You're the guy who stood by yourself in the middle of National Sports Stadium with a placard saying, bring Itai Zamara back. You were a juggernaut of free thought. You were a man who we all looked up to and said, wow, this nigga definitely one day he's going to be a leader of this nation. Definitely he's going to be sitting in the cabinets or something. But when we come on your timeline right now, we come on your wall, all we see you is being a sycophant. Those are my words. I said, all I'm seeing you is cheerleading Nelson without being the free spirit that we used to know, who could also say to him as your brother, homie, do this, be a good advisor to this man. I was just getting afraid that I'm watching some of the timelines of my comrades who we started this struggle with. People like Patson who started the struggle way before us. And I'm seeing them now becoming cheerleaders of one particular side. My brothers, what if that happens and Pastor Evan joins them? And everybody, what if everybody who we used to look at as the persons who question these things and are free thinkers now suddenly become cheerleaders to one particular side? We already have AC Lumumba saying, I'm ZANU-PF. Then you have Patson Zamara saying, hey, I'm MDC. who is then going to hold the other to account? Because sadly, ladies and gentlemen, when I look at the ZANU PF supporters, they are far more tolerant to people like me. They literally sit there and they listen. So if I sit with an AC, he actually listens. He takes my points on board. So if you watch some of his videos, you'll see that he actually, for example, he talked about the ZANU primaries. He was totally disparaging his own side. He totally was not happy with his own side. It's almost as if the people we think are the most intolerant and violent are no longer those people. It's when I say something against anything the alliance does or says, anything. I could be pointing out a very valid point. I could be those women sitting in Sheraton Hotel, in Rainbow Towers, who people literally started talking about their bras. Those women are mothers, those women are sisters. And people started talking about their bra sizes and their bosoms and all sorts of things. We're in a really bad, twisted place as Zimbabweans. We're in a very, very dark place where a man can stand up and say, yo, guys, I've got a skin illness. The General Chiwengo, I've got a skin illness, and people say, ambi. Right now on Twitter, whether it's ambi or whether it's a skin illness, it's now an absolute riot on Twitter. And yet we're forgetting that General Chiwengo is part of a manifesto that's just been released. We should be discussing and interrogating. We'll be discussing and interrogating those manifestos and the policies that make these people say they want to lead us. They want to lead us. They want to be in power for another 5 years. And yet we're talking about jokes. We're talking about ambi. We're talking about whether women are wearing bras or not. We're talking about things that are not relevant. I hope today, ladies and gentlemen, we can also go out there and be the bastions of common sense again. It's okay for us to have strong positions and support people. That's our political right. But I think in Zimbabwe, we now also need some political objectivity. Who are the people who are going to sit here and say, this is true, this is not? There are people who are going to say, this is fake news, this is not fake news. The amount of fake news that we receive every single day on our phones, ladies and gentlemen, is very disastrous. Patson, you may be right. The principle is always be hearty with your praise in public and be brutal with your criticism in private if you have a relationship. My brother Patson, I disagree in the sense that you no longer are allowed to have a private and public relationship because you are almost more popular on these social medias than Nelson Chamisa is, believe it or not. But unfortunately for you, Patson, you no longer have the right to join a side. You have to be the guy who leads the people who put their trust in you. You have to lead them. You have to lead those people who've put their trust in you to also be objective, even at your mentor. Because if all we see is the hyperbole and praise and, oh yeah, yesterday I was talking to Nelly and he's a good nigga. And if we see all the time it's all praise and chinas, what we're seeing is we're not seeing a balance. Because there's a lot of things that need to happen for the young president to actually be the statesman that we need him to be. He can't go to the Oxford University, for example, and sit there and talk fairy tales. That was a place to speak policy. Strong, articulated, clear policies amongst other intellectuals. That was that place. It wasn't a place with no statistics. It wasn't a place for when someone asks you about the environment to not have real answers about environmental issues in Zimbabwe. What is his solar plan? What is his wind farm plan? What is our hydro generation plan? What is our fossil fuel plan? What is happening with conservation areas, wildlife, the hunting, the trophies? These are things that matter to white people. They may not matter to us, but he was standing in the middle of white international people, and he needed to give us some strict, solid policy. In fact, none of us should have watched that one. We shouldn't have to watch that Cambridge one because it's not for us. It's for those PhDs. It's for the Chipotandares and people like Taro Daphne who like litigious and articulation. But we didn't get that. We didn't get that. We didn't get that. I desperately just want to pick a side and support somebody. It's much easier to do. It's a much easier position to be. But after my last show, 2 days ago, I started getting praised a lot by neurists. And I knew that was when I was now in an uncomfortable position. Because praise is more addictive than criticism. As soon as everyone started saying, yo, you're right, Kuda, yeah, Kuda, you're the man, Kuda, you're the man, immediately I had to look at myself different. First of all, I had to look at my wife, and she looked at me like she was disapproving. Okay, so we have Agrippa here who doesn't want to be here, so let me get him. Bye-bye, Agrippa, see you later. Bang, bye-bye. So as soon as I got to a space where people were now praising me, I realized that we're now in a bad place. I should never be a person who people can just praise. I also want to be a person who wants to be criticized. And I want to surround myself with people from the Tea Party who hold me to account. People who tell me I'm wrong. People who challenge some of the things I say because it makes me a better person every day. And I promise you I'll read some of the things and I will go and investigate. And if I'm wrong, I'll be honest. I'm praying that people like Patson Zamara get back to a place where they can stand there and be absolutely honest with everybody. I'm praying for a position where we get back some of those strong voices of sanity that we used to have 2 years ago, a year ago. People who didn't have to be liked. They didn't have to be liked. All they wanted to be was be honest. And that's what we want. We want people to be honest, right? Ladies and gentlemen, today, if anyone wants to contribute, it'll be, I'll gladly add anyone who wants to contribute. Just say add and I'll add you. I don't have a bunch of time, but I'd like to add a couple of people, get some counter perspective. Sometimes hearing my own voice again is also very bad. So Todd, how are you, sir?
I'm good, my brother. It's been a while, man. How are you doing?
It's been a lot. I'm good, man. How are you feeling about the current toxic nature that our world has become? It's such a toxic left or right place. How are you feeling about that?
The problem that we have, Kuda, is we have this culture of praising and worshipping whoever we like at that moment in time. I'll give you an example with ZANU-PF. It was no one but Mugabe, to lead them for the next, I don't know how many years, right? But the day that Mugabe stepped down, or the day Mugabe was unseated, everyone totally moved and diverted attention to the new leader. They followed power. Now, that's not just in ZANU-PF. That is anywhere you look at in the political arena in Zimbabwe, right? And now we have lost that common sense. You talked about common sense, and I said common sense is not so common anymore. It's all about praise and worship. It's no longer about common sense. No one should be above criticism, and no one should be above reproach. If my leader does something wrong, I should be able to criticize him. You will notice that I've not done live videos in quite a while now, right? Because I've been struggling to see what's the way we're actually going, especially if you criticize, like let's say this movement, this Nelson Chamisa movement. If you say, look, you can't come and lie to people, automatically you become a hater. I'm not a hater. I've never hated anyone. I just hate people's lies. That's it. Don't lie to me. Be honest with me. There is no way we can expect to see those things that he's promising in Zimbabwe. I'm not saying he's not going to be a good leader, but I'm just saying he needs to understand the people he's talking to. Now, to me, when you talk about things like that, it seems like you are taking advantage of people who have been blacked out of media, content, people who cannot access social media, people who cannot see the reality of the world outside there. They will buy whatever you tell them simply because you've been to America, you've been to the UK, you've been there. So they will buy whatever you say. You see, so we need to be the voice of reason and say, no, we also live in the UK. We've been out abroad and we've seen the development of the world out there, right? And what you are promising people is not right. Look at the meetings that they're having. Look at the platforms, the stages that they're on, right? A lot of people that attended that rally on Sunday are asylum seekers. I know that because I belong to an organization that helps asylum seekers. Then he goes and he meets with Boris Johnson. These are people who make policies that influence the world. Mind you, the world, not just the UK or just Zimbabwe. They influence the world. They're very powerful people. You have people like Theresa May who can call war by themselves and bomb a nation. This is how powerful these people are, right? Now in the UK, if a minister had cracked the joke that what's name Chamisa cracked, I'll give him my sister, right? That minister would have been stepping down within 24 hours. That's how much they respect human rights. That's how much they respect, the rights of people, rather. Now you can see like the comments are saying, oh, Todd is a hater, Todd is a hater. I don't mind being called a hater simply because I will speak the truth as and when it's necessary, right? I will stand up and say the things that I need to say.
I think it's okay for us to actually agree that Todd is a supporter of Build Zimbabwe Alliance, right?
Yes.
It's okay for us to say that you are a supporter of Noah Manyika, right? And it's also okay for us to let you speak.
Yes.
People like Lloyd, for example, I'll use Lloyd because he's a guy I talk to on the private level. Lloyd will never ever give you he'll never say that he agrees with you on anything just because you happen to follow a different path. And yet, I'm trying to reach to the sensibility in someone like Lloyd and say, guy, you don't have to follow the same parties to agree on some things. Because I strongly believe the things that bring us together are far more than the things that separate us as far as what we're doing.
Yes.
If we want to say we want to get rid of a ZANU-PF government, right? I want to get rid of ZANU-PF government because I think the ZANU-PF government has failed us for 38 years. That's my only premise. I don't like what they've done for 38 years. I would like to see a change. However, I don't then believe that everybody, unless they follow my direct line of thinking, is wrong. I like to see that there's in the upper echelons of these things, Nelson Chamisa, Comrade all these guys, they're not enemies. I want people to understand that they're not enemies. And sometimes I've been in high-level meetings where these guys are very good. They're very cordial with each other. And yet from my internet, Banana Lloyd, we need to avoid that, guys.
Exactly. That's my point exactly. And just to come back to the issue that I was talking about the human rights, right? I chaired this organization called Zimbabwe Human Rights Organization for a year when it started. I was the founding member, right? 99% of the people in that organization are MDCT supporters. I have been to court over 100 times as a support witness for them. I've witnessed for them, at least 60 of them have gained their status in the UK because I've been to court with them to support their cases, right? I've not supported one Build Zimbabwe Alliance person. I've not supported one, ZANU-PF person. Never. It's all been MDCT, and I've never been a member of MDC. It got to a stage where MDCT actually hijacked this organization, and I've stepped back as the leader because I don't want to be at loggerheads with them. Right? Look at the way they operate and the way they take over everything, right? I just point that out. Look at Transform Zimbabwe. We have been told by Nelson Chamisa to step down in Masvingo area so that MDC people can be put in the places where they are. But hang on, who have the people chosen? They've chosen Transform Zimbabwe. So why should Transform Zimbabwe step down to give MDC way? What I believe in is allowing people to choose what they want. And I will die for that. I always say people must choose what they want. I am not qualified to decide what you want, Kuda. I make my own decision. That's why I get my own vote, and I go and make my own decision. Even if it's just me and Manyika who vote for Manyika, that is my decision. But I will respect the democratic right of people to choose, and I will respect the leader that the people choose. Right now, I have a problem with ED because the way he came into power, I don't agree with. And this is why I'm saying to people must go and register to vote. Kuda, you remember we had a drive to go and register people to vote. I paid for over 100 combis for people to go and vote. But if you ask all those people that went to register, how many of them are BZA or how many of them are actually campaigned to as a BZA member, not a single one will tell you that I told them I'm BZA. All I said to them is, you need to go and register, exercise your voice. You need to exercise your right to choose the leader that you want. All those people I sent, because I followed the initiative that you guys had started. I liked it, and you guys are not even BZA. So people want to politicize everything. I am fighting for a Zimbabwe where every Zimbabwean is free to live the way they want and choose the leader that they want, but also respect the choices that other people make. If Chamisa becomes president, I'll respect him as my president. If Idi becomes president, free and fair elections, I'll respect him as my president. If Noah Manyika becomes president, I'll respect him as president. Whoever the people choose fairly, the people must choose fairly and freely. In a credible election, I will respect that person because first and foremost, I am Zimbabwean before I'm a politician. And people, we need to respect that.
My brother Todd, thank you for joining me. It's always a pleasure to have you. I wish I could have you for longer because you're so passionate. I didn't want to interrupt you. The one thing that I will jump in and say, yeah, as the moderator of this forum, is saying that I was in the UK for 15 years myself. And I think the term asylum seeker is now Zimbabwe is a way of making something sound like it's a dirty word. The word asylum seeker is not a dirty word. And I think people who have sought asylum, people who have sought refuge, be it economic, be it because of violence, be it because of a perceived violence, because they've seen families die, it's not a bad word. And I don't think people who are asylum seekers, a lot of my family out there would still be that. So I don't think when people hear the word, they start to get defensive. Well, they're not. It doesn't. I don't think it's. I don't think you were saying it in a bad way because I know what you've been doing over the last few years is you've been working with asylum seekers and trying to bring them to normality with their papers in the UK. So I don't think you were being disparaging. But thank you for joining us, my brother.
Thanks, Kuda. Much appreciated.
Well, God bless. Let me add my sister Savannah Matumumbe. The comments, my God, the comments. We got so much vitriol and hatred in the comments, guys. Calm ourselves. My sister Savannah, how are you?
Kuda, hi, how are you?
It's lovely to speak to you when I see the nice Zimbabwean sunshine on your head instead of the trains in New York.
My goodness, look at this.
How beautiful is that? Wonderful.
Oh, I now realize why if you are born in Zimbabwe or you have been to Zimbabwe, you can't forget it. You have to come back.
My sister, what is your thoughts on our subject today of this crazy polarization and poison that's happening here? Even if you go through my comments right now, there's such poison.
Listen, I think I've been talking about this for a while too. We have a problem. And I have come to understand this problem. When I look at it, I thought about it and I was wondering why we are so hateful and we want to fight every time there comes something. And I'm not putting myself past this. I also participated a lot. But there comes a time when you come to a realization and you want to look at everything and say, listen, what is being a Zimbabwean? What is our priority? Now, I looked at, try to figure out why we are doing this. And look, our country collapsed, right? We have we had an economy collapse. We had a political collapse. Most countries that go through a political collapse, you realize that's the worst collapse you can ever have. People die.
Yeah.
And we went all through that. Now we are a final stage, collapse of the country. Social and cultural collapse. Nobody knows what being a Zimbabwean is anymore. We have abandoned our community responsibility. We've abandoned whatever it is that was binding us as Zimbabweans is no longer there. And I'm not blaming people. There are reasons why this happened. The past 37 years were very brutal on people. It became very costly for you and I to be involved in anything that we had to do with our community. Wherever we wanted to come together and do things, there was a third person who was asking why we were doing that. So people decided to retreat into their safe zone and become individuals. But now all of a sudden we're being thrown again together. There's an opening for us to finally interact with each other. But we don't know how to do that. All we know to fight. It was encouraged to bash somebody's head, right? It was something that was encouraged in the past few years. And now all of a sudden, we are supposed to interact. How do we interact with each other? I don't know how to interact with my fellow Zimbabweans. All I know is to scream and yell, because that's what I used to do for a long time. We all used to scream and yell because no one was listening to us. Now, all of a sudden, if we come to a room where we are supposed to talk and discuss, nobody knows how to do that. All we have to do is sit and scream and yell and fight, because that's what we know. But when you begin to do what you're doing, remember, I was listening to you the other day, and you were saying something that really was true, but we don't realize it, that social media has zero impact on what happens on the ground.
Yep.
I remember you saying something like that.
Yep.
Social media has zero impact.
Yes.
Noise that we're making here has zero impact unless we choose to take what's on social media and then channel through the people and bring it back to our communities. So we can fight all we want here on social media, and it's zero impact. And I'll tell you why I say so. I was making a video yesterday, and I was in Heathcliff, where the family perished. About 3 people died in a fire, and I talked about it, and I was showing people, and the people were asking for, what they need and things like that. See what results I got from social media yesterday by doing that video.
Zero.
Everybody was coming in, for emotions, emojis, likes, and all that. Oh my God, and people try to divert it and take it to, oh, let's blame the government, oh, let's do all this. But the people have a need right now. The funeral is today. Nobody was being moved, and I understand why, because Zimbabweans are fatigued. You understand? We have so many issues. Now, with so many issues that we have, why are we continuing to fight about things that really mean nothing? Because we're looking at the top of the ladder. We want to fix things from top here. I understand what Shamisa said wasn't right, in a sense that it does not promote and make women look good. I'm a woman. I don't like when people make tones like that. But really, what the problem is at the bottom. We're hurting. We've abandoned everything. Now you go through the city every day. You see the way we trash our city. You see how nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
No, and we don't care about. So if we don't care about the papers, the trash, why should we really care about anything else? It means every time when I'm walking around, I literally want to walk around with my camera so people can hear the language the men use on the streets, and it's acceptable on the streets. So if we want to hold Chamisa accountable, this is what I said. You want to hold Chamisa accountable, you have to hold me and you and everybody accountable. That's the same language. It becomes very Zimbabwean-like. It's okay for men
we have to all hold each other to account. That's what you're saying.
We have to account. We can't just jump and be very selective and choose when we want to hold someone accountable. It's not about Chamisa. It's about a culture. We have abandoned the way we do things. It's okay for someone to use a joke and say to me things that I don't like. And as long as it's coded in a joke, Chamisa is just a reflection of our society. Mnangagwa is a reflection of our society. When we see the things that the leaders are doing and they say it and they think it's acceptable, it's because we've accepted them when they were not leaders. If we want to groom the next leaders, we have to groom the society. We have to groom the people that are, before they even start aspiring, they have to be held accountable. They can say things that we don't like. We can't wait for them to become leaders and then say, what you're saying is wrong.
My sister, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your contribution. Let me add a couple more people, but thank you for your points of view. And I think you're absolutely right. There's a whole cultural systemic thing that needs overhauling. The reason
Yes.
why we say that we should hold our leaders to account is because they influence so many people.
Yes.
With all the hatred that's going on online, if the leaders came up, instead of Nanga was saying, and I'm no rakashavanu pa internet, if he had said,
Yeah,
guys, and I'm no tolerant, listen to each other, he, as a leader, he would have influenced at least 50% of the population to behave. If Nelson Chamisa comes and says the same thing, that's not my way as the leader. I don't approve of that. It also then forces
yes,
people like Lloyd and some of these, Tabby Joy and the other narratists to actually then also behave, knowing that their leader said stop it. So anyway, thank you very much, my sister. God bless you.
Aren't we Zimbabweans first? Thank you so much,
Of course we
Kuda.
are. Thank you. God bless.
Yeah.
That was my sister, Banama Mombe. She gave a point about we have to all sort out each other as a community. And I think, okay, anyone else want me to add Eddie, I'm going to try to add you. Portia had said add a while ago. Let me see what Portia has to say. Let me bring her on. Kuda, let's be honest, after elections, Mnangagwa will be like Mugabe. Okay, I agree. I also want you to know that after the elections, if Nelson Chamisa wins the election, the people closest to him and the people who say they're the vanguard, if you go on their Twitter pages and their Facebook pages right now and see the way they're treating people who don't agree with them, I want you to know what they're going to do to other Zimbabweans afterwards. And this is my sadness. That yes, it's okay to say that Mnangagwa and ZANU PF are always going to be ZANU because we know what they're like. But I'm now saying I want you to go and look and interrogate the people who are closest to Chamisa, the Wendes and so forth, and see what they are going to do when they are in power. It's going to be far worse. The intolerance there is incredible. Like I'm telling you now, the intolerance there is nuts. One day I'll screenshot you the amount of death threats I get every time I say anything that they perceive anti-Chamisa, when it's not even anti-Chamisa. Remember, I can go into Chamisa's office regularly and sit with them and talk to him. But I'll get death threats. Sesu, how are you?
Hi, Kuda. Sorry, my living room light is a little bit so light is showing from the TV.
We can see you clearly. We can see you clearly.
My voice is the one that is important.
Go ahead.
Okay, Inini, I just wanted to appeal to everyone, Okumusha. We're all passionate about what is going on because we are all Zimbabweans and we all want something good for our country.
Yep. I think I'm not getting your. Patson, I don't know if you're on a computer or if you're watching with the screen on the side, but if you come out and come back in, I'll be able to add you, my brother Patson. I'm trying to add you. Sesu, if you can hear me, please reconnect to your internet or something, and then we'll add you. Who else wanted to be added? My brother Pardon. I would like to add brother Pardon. Pardon makes videos. He's in South Africa. He's a strong cadre on the MDC side, and his words to me was that Pardon said it's too loud where I am, so Pardon cannot join us. Sad. But Pardon says the Vanguard is doing the right thing. Cosmo says, Kuda, you're getting it wrong. We are in fight mode, and we will brook no nonsense. Who else would like to be added, guys? Because before I close up, I would like to add on any other voices. Sister Sesu, are you back? I'm trying to add you again, and it's not working. Louis Culture. Let's try and add Louis Culture. This gives us a myriad of different voices. Actually, you Kuda, you are the one manipulating people now. We want people to focus on silly things than serious issues we got in Zimbabwe. Well, this is why we're here talking, brother. We're trying to understand what are the serious issues that we're not talking about. I mean, I'm not the one. asking people to talk about lightning creams and whether it's a joke or not. I mean, I'm just trying to facilitate a conversation about intolerance. Okay, Tafadzwa. I'm really trying to add Patson, but Patson has got no icon, like an icon to it. Hey, Tafadzwa, how are you, brother?
Yeah, brother.
Can you speak a bit louder, my brother? Go ahead, try to Madi. Try and use English. We have
what I wanted
accent
to add,
here.
okay, what I wanted to say is, like in 1980, and when we got independence, and Edgar Tegere said what you are saying, as Angari Minister of Economic Planning, and then Mugabe was popular at that time, and people were like, Tegera no penga, akabviswa pa ministry Angari Minister of Economic Planning. Achaiwa munhu achaita dictator kumbe achatinetsa. What you are saying also Panya Vanguard, you are seeing it. I'm seeing you as Edgar Tegere at this moment, and people are looking out as numbers. But 2, 3 years down the line, people will start to come back to you. Remember, Nonga Zogera on a Tegere Agruar. Agastaura, Tegere. 2, 3 years down the line, man, I just go to but Kudaga store Vanguard just need Kudaga store, but it's too late. And you are identifying it right now, and people don't want to listen to it or to resist it because Chamisa is right on the popularity, and at this point,
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I'm very saddened by how we're treating each other. I mean, even if when you have time, go read through these comments. There are people here who are not here to listen. They're not here to engage. They're not here to participate. They're here to just say chete. And I think it's about the way we become a better community is if we actually start being able to listen to each other and see what other people's perspective is. Then we can argue on facts and points rather than just arguing on this rhetoric, this strong rhetoric. I'm telling you now, without a fail, we're going to find ourselves in a lot of issues with this chete mantra. Hold on. Okay, let me add. My wife wants me to add her. Let me add her. Tabi Joy, everyone was hype about Barack Obama, but they were not online calling every Mitt Romney supporter, names and threatening to rape them and kill them. Go on Twitter, Tabi, and I hope you're very proud of what you've done there. Go on Twitter. I hope you're proud of your efforts there. Go on Twitter and see what your people are saying about other people, other women. I want you to go and see that, and I want you to be proud of yourself because you're further perpetuating that hatred. And when people now are on the streets and they all start killing each other, people like Tabi Joy are gonna actually have to pay for this. I mean, these are the people who, in a truth and reconciliation, are gonna have to atone for some of the things that they've said. People like Tabi Joy, I'm telling you now. I've seen it before. I'm out. Lloyd, you don't have a camera next to your. Anyway, it seems like everyone I'm trying to add now is not addable. Sad as it is, they're not addable. Trying to add a few people who have different points of view. Free and fair elections, chitty. I like that. Well, if it is free and fair, and someone gets more than 5%, then there's a price to be paid for that bet, huh? Hey, C, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
First of all, I apologize for some of the hatred and vitriol you're receiving online right now on Twitter. I know you're on the forefront of that war over feminism, how women are being objectified and being, and after that joke, I think we all opened the floodgates. I know you and I have been on different sides of that argument. What's your take on what we're talking about?
I think the real big thing is that when people speak out and say that the issue of language and sexism matters, it's not that you're nitpicking on issues. It's just saying that, you know, all these issues matter. The way in which we frame and talk about women, the way in which we talk about each other in society will influence the way in which we act in our society. So when people came out and said that Chamisa's statements for a leader were not appropriate, it didn't mean that they're saying that Chamisa is bad. They're saying that those sentiments are not right for a person who should lead us. So when people came out and spoke, the responses were even more fascinating because people came, you had a lot of men now calling women, you know, mahure, you have men saying, you know, urimata, and this just further perpetuates when a leader doesn't curb a situation, it further perpetuates how we speak about women. So I think what we have to realize as a nation is when we call each other out on bad deeds, when we say this isn't the nation we want to build, it doesn't mean that we're against you. We still stand with you. We want you to be better. I think there's no one who is arguing that ZANU-PF hasn't killed us. Of course, ZANU-PF has done worse. But we can't keep saying, what about when ZANU did this? What about when ED didn't apologize? We've already given up on those people. We've already written them off and said, these are not the people we want to be. We want better. So when we say, Chamisa, we expect better from you, it's not that we don't want him to succeed or to drive us to the future. It's that we want him to drive us to a future that we all share, a future that's beneficial to all Zimbabweans, a future where everyone's voice matters and where people are treated fairly. If we start to compare the MDC to ZANU-PF and say, well, if ZANU can do it, then MDC should do it, then surely we're going backwards. What we want from them is for us to move forward. And I think people's frustrations come from the sense that Chamisa is young. He is the leader we're looking at to say, bring us to the future. But then if he speaks in ways that are retrogressive, taking us back to the past, then we should call on him and say, Chamisa, this is wrong. And when people say, please apologize, or we expect an apology, it's not to say that if he apologizes, he's less. Actually, it makes him an even better leader, because a leader who can admit mistakes, there is no leader who makes no mistakes. You know that. Even in your own home as a man, when you're leading, you make mistakes. It's about the ability to step forward and say, you know, right now, I made a mistake. That was not my intention. That's not what I meant. So to move forward, I acknowledge that you've been hurt. I acknowledge that this isn't going to help us move forward, but this is what we're going to do moving forward. And then that's how representation happens. If people don't say, this hurts me, if we look at racism, if Black people don't say, these words are hurtful, then other races will never be able to understand what it is that we find hurtful. So you can't say to people, your pain is not valid. What you say is, why are you feeling that pain, and how do we as a people move forward?
My sister C, thank you very much for your wise words. I know you guys are having you're having a clinic this weekend. Can you tell us about that quickly before I let you go? Now that you have
Okay,
360
so
people
the
watching.
Be the Change team is having a free clinic, health clinic in Mount Pleasant from 12 to 3 o'clock. We've got some doctors who will be there just checking out health. So your BP, diabetes, if you're just not feeling well, we've also got a pediatrician who will be there from about 1:30. So if you do know people in the Mount Pleasant constituency who want to have some doctors check on them, please do let them know to come through. We also have some lawyers on board who will be helping people with any legal issues. So if you just want some free legal advice, we've got that from 12 to 3 p.m. So please do come through. And saying sorry is not a crime. See you later.
Saying sorry is not a crime. Thank you very much, C, the communications director for the Be the Change campaign. Something that I think all political parties need. They need smart communications directors who can guide and assist in messaging, because sometimes a lot of things are being lost in really bad in bad PR, and I think we need a lot more people who can help with that kind of words. Anyone else who really wants to be added before we go? I saw my sister Mia said she wanted to be added. Let me find her and add her. She's obviously better at this than me because she does this all the time now, and this technology sometimes defeats me. So let me add her last, and then I'll finish up. Then we can all go home and enjoy the day.
April,
How you doing?
I'm okay. How are you doing? Hi, everybody. How is everybody doing?
Fantastic.
Oh
You know exactly what you want to say, so go for it straight away.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So I'm just going to touch on like two things, right? When it comes to politics, right? I know that some people are more passionate than others, but we all as Zimbabweans first, before we choose whatever party that we support, right? Is that it? So
Yes.
we also understand that any politician that is in office at any given time is a civil servant. They work on behalf of us, right? On behalf of the people. So it should be okay for people to ask certain questions or to question certain behaviors and also be respected with answers, regardless of which horse you're backing, right? We do not want to create little monsters, little gods, because I see, like, I quite observe what goes on with what people say to each other on what matters as well, right? It's as though if you say something about what's his name, Mnangagwa, right? The Mnangagwa people are going to come for you. If you say something about Chamisa, they'll come for you. But we are actually now putting these people on such a high pedestal that the moment they stop looking at us, because we have to remember that the only time somebody should look down is when they're picking you up. But these individuals are going to actually look down, genuinely looking down at us if we carry on being so ignorant and fighting and not expecting the answers from them. I'm not sure how these things work. Please educate me, anybody who knows, right? Because Chanisa is in town and all that, I would have loved for him to come and we could have like a question and answer session where we can ask genuine questions, we can have genuine answers, instead of the same rhetoric where somebody just comes, just speech and walks away. We kind of thought, myself, maybe I'm naive, but I thought him being young and him understanding politics from a much more younger perspective, and MD still looking much younger, maybe we'll do politics differently. Maybe we'll do a kind of politics where we can have dialogue at some point. Maybe we'll agree to disagree. I think that if there's one thing that should unite us is when we choose who leads our country, when we choose who represents us. And then if we then decide that we do not like each other for whatever reason, then, well, that's well and good. But in the time that we need to come together, I think it's very important to demand dignity. I don't feel like we're being dignified as a people. I've got an 11-year-old, and my 11-year-old is interested in politics. He loves politics so much. And I can't even introduce him to the politics of my country because the social media is so ugly. What people say to each other is so ugly. And I just think, why are we fighting? Because there's somebody who's just getting away. The two people are getting away with things. Now, the second thing I was going to address, right, is the issue on the comments, whether it was feminist or not feminist or anything like that, right? Now, I'm not going to say either or, but what I'm going to say is that the mapostori, I'm not even the mapostori. I hope everybody understands what I'm talking about. We all know that
Apostles.
most of them have been marrying off young girls, young children for years. It's been the story. I remember clearly, I grew up in Zoraskwa. There was this 11-year-old girl who was married off to a man who had two wives already, and she died during childbirth in her house. And you could hear the screams. This has always been happening, right? So but the leaders before have been wearing magemens and stuff, right? It is to other people who have experienced, right, the what do you call, the abuse or the girl child situation, right, through that church, might also argue to say, well, you're dismissing our pain. You know what I mean? And then Chamisa said this as well. Say we're dismissing our pain. Whatever it is, I just hope and wish that people could just, stick to the dialogue. And at this moment, let's take the opportunity to ask Chamisa, where he stands on the girl child issue. What changes are going to be there. And you know what I mean? And also pull up ZANU-PF. Maybe this is the time that, we should be thinking, fine, ZANU-PF should be now picking up to say, well, Chamisa is in for it because of this girl child thing. Let us now go and give people our policies and what we expect to do and how we are going to do it. Because, then that will make us look good. At least somebody needs to have that sort of feeling for us. But they're not trying to do that. You know why? Because we're not even trying to humanize each other. Like, you have a platform and nobody ever knows how you put your bundles. You're not like me. I'm using my Wi-Fi at home. I pay my bill once, right? You put your bundles, you come in, you speak your mind, and you try very hard to be impartial and advocate and call people on whatever you think is going on. Yet there's somebody who will always come and have a go at you, and have a go at you as a person, have a go at your mind and what you're thinking, when you've created a platform where somebody can come and challenge you, and you can answer, and we can have a healthy debate, and sometimes we could walk away and not agree. Those are the two things that I've come with, and yeah.
My sister, thank you so much.
Else,
Always,
I'm sure you
always on point.
I'm sure you do watch people come for me and just say, oh, attention seeker. Well, if I'm an attention seeker and you're there, somebody's feeding a monster. Let us talk.
Well, put it this way: the reason why we do these shows is obviously to look for attention. We are looking for the attention of our peers and so forth. I think you do a show every single night. You talk about various issues from relationships, politics, social, economic issues. I highly recommend everybody follow Mia, please. She's got a great show. I sometimes tune in and watch. Thank you very much, my sister, for joining us.
Thank you very much, bro. Thank you, everyone.
Let me see if I can add Tete Rasta, another person who has a very popular show on Facebook. Let me see if Tete Rasta is available to be added. I like what C said. Like what Mia said. Tete Rasta, how are you?
I'm all right, my brother. How are you? Salute.
Salute. Let me know, how are you feeling about all this?
Well, if you talk to me as Grace Mfuruta, I think that I'm rather disappointed, and I think you're absolutely right. We are in trouble. You talk to me as Tete Rasta, I'll be like, we are in deep doo-doo, and we really have to start using our education to comprehend issues. Inini ndakaharaswa paFacebook ndataura kuti I didn't like the abusive and the aggressive way Nelson Chamisa dealt with the Coupe issue and the power struggle. And I had people coming onto my wall, vachitaura zvavaida, those vaipama points saying they were disagreeing intelligently, raising the argument, they were welcome. Then, Manero too, I don't know why, but somebody then came and called me a prostitute. And I actually did a live video on that. So the intolerance issue is a big issue. But I was at that rally in Bedford. I'm not a Chinja, but I went to show people that you don't need to belong to a political party to support or go and see. And I've got lots of friends who are, Chinjas, and friends who are Chinjas, but they are Coupe. So I went there to kind of feel what's going on. And I also wanted to test, are they going to beat me up? I was there when Chamisa was giving that talk. He was speaking in Shona. He was speaking to an audience. So isusu sema diasporans, we miss the jibes and katsika keku Zimbabwe. I don't think he did anything wrong. What we don't want is people trying to capitalize on selectively applying what he said to their own agenda. We know what do you call them? Manage fundraising preneur. But if people are funding, nema donors, that blow things out of proportion. I grew up in a family with 4 brothers. I was the only girl. Whenever my mom arrived somewhere, she would say, even mazidara dara. It's just the way people talk. So he was using an opportunity with the diaspora community to reinvigorate Kamkatsika Keku Zimbabwe. Even my brothers would get their friends to buy them drinks. It used to offend me at a point, but my brothers weren't pimping me out. They were just creating a relationship. And brothers and mothers will say, Murora uyu mukadzi wako uyu, because they think you are something, you are a biscuit. So if your brothers don't say, they don't think you are all that. So Shona, shut up and sit in the corner. This is the issue. Pane social class issues here. Pane masalad, pane masadza. People who really understand Chivan. Then pane isusu tiri blend, tiri pakati. Varkuti, it was a very sexist, what my feminists. Ubuntu does not accommodate feminism in the way that is exported in Nevarungu. This is one thing. That's why Tete Rasta is alive on Facebook. If you want to succeed as a Zimbabwean, Kuda, you went through Rora. Nekugara kwako ku Australia, kuzogara kwako ku Britain, wakaenda ukanotakura mombe nembudzi. Why did you do it? It's expected.
Right.
And there are certain jibes and there are certain things that happen in those things that make you feel like, oh, they are dehumanizing me. I remember when I went, you cover your head in a sheet and then you go and stand at the gate of your husband's home before they introduce you. And people will be insulting you and saying all sorts of things. But it's what we do, Pachivano, because they want to see, are you resilient enough to, you know, deal with the issues that are in that home. And then Marino collect because it's like it's building a relationship. But when they took off the veil, I got the biggest hugs from my in-laws. It was gone because katsika. Feminism will never, ever, ever interpret our African ways. And when Chamisa is abroad and is trying to bring a little bit, a taste of home, why should we be criticizing him? I was criticizing him, but I was doing it constructively. If he was talking at Chatham House, Oxford Union, all hell is going to break loose in that place. So do we sacrifice?
Let me take you there, because I think so that I broaden the issue a bit from that one particular joke. Did you actually watch the Oxford Union speech? Did you not?
I did. I watched it twice.
Okay. At what facts, what policy did you derive from that speech? Because I kind of felt that it felt like he was off the cuff trying to do another rally to Oxford. I didn't hear any real policy of the environment. I didn't hear any real policy on equal rights. I didn't hear any real policy on economics or anything of that nature. And that was a room full of real, intellectuals, people who like that kind of stuff. So again, do you see what I'm saying? Sometimes I want us to be able to scrutinize our hope, because he is the hope of our generation. He is the generational consensus says this is our hope. By saying that he is our hope, we must also be able to say, but blaz, this and this and this and this, without being called idiots, without being called this and because of that.
I was called a prostitute. So anyway, we got over that. But MDC rally, I met a lot of my friends, even now 20 years ago in the healthcare system. This is the thing of the theme I was developing, Kuti. We are one, no matter. I come on your show, Kuda. When I used to come here, I used to F and blind and do all sorts of tea time stuff, you remember?
Yeah.
I didn't tell you off, but I'm very cultured. And I said to you, I was on this school, I could tolerate, kutukirira. And I actually had developed an appetite for the way young people express their frustration. It didn't take away from your message. It didn't take away from your message. I had to moderate my stance of being old-fashioned. If you say fuck, it's bad. And as a Catholic, it was like, ugh. But then I was like, if I don't go to his platform, I won't hear what's happening. What's the cool stuff? You're right. Oxford, that's why I listened to it twice. Oxford, there were times when it felt like a rally. And this is the bit where Chamisa has stepped into big shoes. And it was his first international platform. Yeah. Having said that, Chatham House, he was much better. And he actually presented a better...
Chatham House was great. I think Tendai BT must have written that speech.
It really doesn't matter. Inini, I can come here and talk to you, but you don't know them. You don't go for credit. Yeah. And that's what we want.
Yep.
No, Chatham House is great, but you see, Kuti, he is responding. And one of the things people were laughing at me on my page was, you seem to like Chamisa. I never disliked him. I was just giving constructive criticism. Just like I would say, Kuda, the hair needs a little bit of whatever. You just go and tidy up your hair and you're still the Kuda that I love. So at the rally, Chamisa was able to speak about Kupe and say CC Kupe and all of this. So it showed that he had moderated from maybe feedback, or he was misunderstood. So I got over that. Do I still think he's the legitimate leader of MDC? No. Does it mean that I rubbish him? No. Do I want Ed or do I want Chamisa? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to keep my options open, because there are front runners. So do we become so spiteful that we don't get over our lack of understanding of our cultural dialogue? Because it's Chapiwa Marine Varungu NGO. I don't think so. Hell no.
Tete Rasta, I appreciate you. You're always online as well. If anyone is watching here who doesn't follow Tete Rasta, she has a great show. I tune in sometimes. Very informative. Like she said, very cultured. She's a Catholic, so you will get a slightly less offensive approach to life, but it's also a great show. Thank you, Tete Rasta, for joining us. I appreciate your time.
You're so good. Thank you. And I was getting afraid that marriage life was taking you off tea time. So I'm glad to see you back.
Well, I was actually blocked from Facebook, but you know how it is. Thank you. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for joining me. We are, we've been on for a long time. We've had a lot of perspectives. The reason why I said we're in trouble in this, as the call it the title of this show was, I was trying to find a way of us bridging gaps between the different sides. How are we going to avoid being so polarized? How are we going to be able to say things that are in criticism, maybe, so that are in questioning a leader who is very, very popular, like Chamisa, without then being called all sorts of names. As far as I'm concerned, for Chamisa to win the next presidency, he is going to need everybody to support him. He's going to need everybody's vote. He's going to need everybody who is willing to come to the table. So I think to be a little bit more tolerant amongst each other as people, amongst different opinions, is going to be better. I think coming on these internets and trolling each other for any little statement without the nuances and without understanding that you don't have to hate a man to sometimes think he has done something wrong, or you don't have to not support MDC to sometimes say something. You don't. It doesn't always have to be left or right. There's many areas that we would consider gray. So I'm really glad that we can continue to talk. Let's continue engaging. This is Tea Time. We've gone on for way too long, but I think it was important that we let as many different voices articulate what they were feeling. And let's move on. Let's start talking about some issues. Hopefully I see you guys soon and we talk about what's going on. The MDCT Coupe is launching their manifesto in 2 days. Let's hope that their manifesto is something that we can scrutinize, criticize, and see if it gives the vision towards Zimbabwe that we hope. And let's also hope to see because tonight BT told us on Zimbo Live that their policy documents are going to be released in 2 weeks. So I'm really looking forward to the MDCT Chamisa policy documents, because as far as the numbers are concerned, that is the side that is going to give us the most, the biggest chance of being able to remove the junta. So we have a lot of policy documents that are coming out. We're going to start talking a lot more about that, and we're going to stop talking about the bullshit, the skin bleaching, the jokes and not jokes. We're coming up to an election now. We need to make up our minds quickly and decisively, and let's remember to be free thinkers. Let's criticize everything, let's scrutinize everything, let's question everything so that we can have a better government. We do not want just another Mugabe. We do not want just another ZANU-PF. We don't want just another horrible situation in our country. What we want is, we want better. We want more. We want a better government, an inclusive government, one that's good, that's tolerant. We want one that rules everybody, not just the people who said chete chete. So thank you very much for joining us. Come with Chef Bay next episode. I love her arguments. I tried to add her, but she wasn't available. So thank you very much. Join me tonight on ZFM Stereo. I don't know if we'll be streaming live on Facebook, but you can definitely tune in live, and you can also tune in on the radio itself, ZFM Stereo. I'll be, as usual, the sidekick for AC Lumumba's show, the Lumumba Diaries on ZFM. I'm there to be the voice of reason. Lumumba is there to be AC Lumumba. And today's guest is going to be, we don't announce our guests in advance, but it's going to be another crazy guest. We're going to be talking about Zimbabwean politics in a cool, understandable way to get everybody talking. We'll be talking about how to be a good and how to be a bad politician. And we have 30 minutes. It's exciting. So join us on ZFM Stereo tonight, 8:30, with AC Lumumba, the Lumumba Files. Thank you very much. God bless you.